the room with 2 safes. I met Iris at an event where people pretended we weren't all selling pieces of ourselves. The hotel ballroom pulsed with soft jazz and harder ambition. She wore a black dress like a dare and a thin gold chain with a tiny key-shaped pendant that rested against the hollow of her throat. When she laughed, it happened in stages. Mouth, eyes, shoulders, as if good humor needed to travel through her. I told myself I noticed her the way I notice details for work, habit, not hunger. I was wrong and already a little lost. I'm a consultant who isn't photogenic enough for the word strategist. Companies hire me to read their mess and build a story they can sell to investors. Iris worked for a competitor technically. We should have been polite enemies. Instead, late in the evening after 2 glasses of champagne and one of those careful buffet conversations where both people pretend the other isn't interesting, we found ourselves on the mezzanine balcony, looking down at the ballroom like 2 thieves casing a house. "You read people for a living," she said. "What do you see?" "In you," I said, before caution could strangle the sentence. "Someone who keeps 2 kinds of secrets. The ones you're not proud of and the ones you are." She tipped her head. The gold key wobbled and caught on her collarbone. "Which kind am I right now?" "Both." "Dangerous answer," she said, smiling as if she were choosing whether to make it more dangerous. We drifted toward the quieter wing, where carpet ate sound and framed photographs of historical guests watched everyone misbehave. At the end of the corridor, a door with frosted glass read private library. It was unlocked. We went in because certain words are invitations and certain evenings are doors you don't open halfway. The library smelled like leather and the careful dust of old money. Iris walked the spines with her fingers. "My father used to keep 2 safes," she said, conversationally, as if we were already in a story together. "One obvious one for the things you expect thieves to steal, and a hidden one for the things thieves don't imagine you risk losing." "What did he keep in the hidden one?" "Letters," she said, "and a handful of mistakes he knew might cost more if they ever saw daylight." She looked at me. "Do you have 2 safes, Evan?" "Just one, and it's messy. I keep telling myself I'll organize it." "With what? Honesty." She stepped closer, not enough to be scandalous, enough to be impossible to ignore. "Honesty is loud. It doesn't fit neatly in drawers." "Maybe my safe needs a different lock." She touched the key at her throat, and I thought about her skin under the chain and about tools and entrances and the way certain objects mean more than themselves. Her perfume was the kind that doesn't advertise and wins anyway. "Maybe," she said. We didn't kiss in the library. That would have been too easy. We made a promise with our eyes instead, the kind that builds a bridge between now and later and lets 2 people pretend they're just walking. Later was a week after the conference, in a bar with copper tops and sad lighting that made everyone look soft-focus and forgivable. Rain tapped the windows like someone trying not to intrude. Iris arrived late, shook water from her hair, and slid into the booth with the precision of someone stepping into a role. "He thinks I'm at Pilates," she said, as if she were telling me about traffic. It took a second for me to understand that he was her husband. I had known she was married the way you know a painting is valuable, by the attention it demands from the room. I had not let myself imagine him. Now imagination drafted a shape, tall, careful, the kind of man who keeps schedules for breakfast. "What do you want me to do with that information?" I asked. "Hold it," she said. "If it's too heavy, put it down later, but for now, hold it." We held it between us for a while in silence that wasn't empty. When she began to talk, it wasn't confession. It was cartography. She traced out a life that had walls arranged by good intentions. A husband who loved her competence more than her chaos. a career that rewarded the mask she wore, a house designed by a magazine. Somewhere inside all that symmetry, she had gone crooked and couldn't straighten without breaking. "I like the person I am when you look at me," she said finally. "Is that a terrible reason?" "It's an honest one," I said, and heard the hypocrisy in my voice like a second mouth. "I live alone. I make my bed with my eyes half open. I keep my fridge organized and my heart in a drawer I open at inconvenient times. I had wanted something to complicate my tidy loneliness. Here it was, complication as a gift with purchase." When she touched my hand, it felt like a rumor turning true. Our fingers found each other the easy way, like objects shaped to fit. The kiss was not dramatic. It was a quiet correction the night made to our posture. Her mouth tasted like citrus and a decision. We didn't hurry. Someone laughed at the bar. A glass clinked. The rain grew confident. Everything continued to exist without us, which made what was happening between us feel both safe and extravagant. We went to my apartment because I couldn't imagine her in a place that already had a story. On the elevator ride, she leaned against the wall, eyes closed as if saving her strength for later. In the living room, she paused at my bookcase, found a stupid ceramic whale a friend had given me years ago, and smiled. "You keep something silly," she said. "That's good." "I keep a lot of silly things," I said, watching her take the room in. "Some of them are inside me." She turned, the key at her throat swinging, and stopped an arm's length away. "Tell me," she said. "Tell you what?" "A silly thing." "I like to sit in the dark and listen to a song all the way to the end before I do anything important," I said. "Also, when I'm scared, I rearrange the condiments in my fridge." She laughed in that three-step way. "I'm scared right now," she said, and kissed me. We undressed each other like careful thieves. The erotics of it were not graphic, they were specific. The slide of her zipper, the sound of rain against glass, the brief, electric pause when my fingers found the clasp of her bra and hesitated, not because I couldn't, but because waiting that extra second turned the moment into something bright and almost unbearable. When she stepped out of her dress, she didn't shy away. She stood there like a woman with two safes and a key only she could wear. We made love in a way that felt like opening a window that had been painted shut, the air rushing in, the frame complaining, everything suddenly colder and clearer. She was generous and precise. My hands learned the map. We stopped twice to laugh, and once because she wanted to look right at me and say my name as if nomming were an act of possession and mercy. After, we lay on our backs like a pair of surrendered soldiers, eyes on the ceiling as if it had the decency to look away. "I can't give you a forever," she said to the ceiling. "I'm not asking for a forever," I said. "I'm asking for a true." "For how long?" "For as long as it's true." She turned onto her side and put her palm on my chest, as if testing for sincerity. "That might be worse," she said, "because it will end when it ends and we'll both have to admit it." "We will," I said, "and we'll survive. That's our punishment and our reward." It would be easy to pretend the rest of the story is just the two of us making brave choices and paying fair prices. But stories aren't receipts. They're rooms with mirrors you didn't notice when you walked in. A week later, at a rooftop party thrown by a client with too much faith in string lights, I saw Iris with her husband. He was taller than my imagination had built him, with a handsome, unreadable face. He had the sort of posture that tells the world, "I am exactly where I plan to be." The gold key lay against Iris's skin, and his thumb rested casually on the base of her neck, proprietary and soft, the way a man touches what he believes is home. She caught my eye and didn't flinch. Her expression said, "Be a grown-up." I tried. I spoke to clients, laughed at jokes, made observations about the skyline. When I stepped away to breathe, a woman followed me, A stranger with hair cut blunt at the chin and a dress that looked expensive without trying. She carried a small clutch like a secret. "You're Evan," she said. It wasn't a question. "I am and you are." "A friend," she said, which is what enemies call themselves when they're about to deliver information. "You and Iris have been collaborating." The acid calm in her voice told me two things. She knew, and she was going to make sure I knew that she knew. My mouth filled with dry honesty. "Iris and I work in the same orbit," I said. "Cowardice is tidy. It fits in small sentences." She said. "I thought maybe you'd be brave. Bravery is messy. It's my favorite." "What do you want?" I asked. She looked toward the crowd. "I want Iris to decide," she said. "She's been rehearsing decisions for months." The woman turned the clutch over in her hands. "I'm Ava. We share a Pilates instructor and a tendency to invite trouble." Ava left me with that and a smile that understood too much. Later I learned she was Iris's oldest friend, the kind who holds your hair back when you're sick and your secrets when you're not ready to hold them yourself. She didn't threaten me. She didn't have to. She was a mirror showing me how this would look from a different angle. The next afternoon, Iris came to my apartment in a cream sweater that made her look like an apology and a storm. The key glinted at her throat. Her hands shook when she took it off and set it on my table. "I told him I needed time," she said. "What did he say?" "He offered me a schedule for my feelings," she said with a sad smile. "He doesn't like undefined variables." "What do you want?" She closed her eyes. "To stop splitting in two every morning," she said. "To stop being good for everyone except myself." "You're good for me," I said, surprising myself with how unambiguous it sounded. "And you're bad for me," she said. "And good and dangerous, and exactly the right and wrong thing at the same time." We didn't touch for a long minute. Then she came to me the way a tide comes to a shoreline it has lapped it forever. Not new, not old, inevitable. The quiet that followed our kiss had the weight of a vow and the fragility of glass. We unspooled each other slowly. The sweater, my shirt, the world narrowing to skin and breath and the small sounds people make when they remember their animals with language. Eroticism is a detail, not a diagram. The way her shoulder tensed when my mouth found the place below her ear, the way her hand flattened at my hip as if to claim geography, the way we paused on the brink because staying there felt like proof we still could. When we finally fell, it wasn't defeat. It was surrender to the physics of two bodies that had already said yes. After we lay close enough to blur, Iris traced a circle on my wrist with her finger. "Ava saw you," she said. "I figured," I said. She introduced herself. "She doesn't want to ruin me," Iris said. "That's not her sport. She wants me to stop pretending my two safes aren't one life." "What does that look like?" I asked. "This," she said, "telling the truth somewhere it can echo." The truth has a way of knocking before it enters. It knocked that evening in the form of a text from an unknown number. "I know about you. Meet me at the Atrium Bar. 10 minutes. Come alone." I pictured a husband with suit and certainty, a confrontation staged in public so everyone could pretend it wasn't happening. I pictured Ava with a glass of wine and a plan. I pictured Iris with wild eyes saying don't. She said nothing. She looked at my phone and then at me and nodded. "Go," she said. "We can't write the end from the couch." At the Atrium Bar, he was exactly as I'd imagined. Tall, careful, a blue tie that had opinions. He did not offer his name. He didn't need it. He ordered a water he did not drink. "You're the man from the rooftop," he said, "and from somewhere my wife disappears to when she says Pilates." "I'm the man who cares about her," I said, because I couldn't think of anything more precise or less strategic. He studied me as if calculating my cost. "I'm not here to threaten you," he said. "I'm here to tell you I'm changing the locks on your house. On the rules," he said. "I've been tidy, too tidy. I thought order could prevent loss. It can't." He set his phone down face up like a white flag. "Iris told me, not the details, spare me. The shape. She wants to stop pretending. She wants to leave." The word leave did something to the air. "What do you want?" I asked. It came out softer than I planned. "I want the woman I married," he said. "But I can't unknow the woman she is. Those are not enemies, I suppose, just roommates who never signed a lease." He stood. "Keep your bravery tidy if you can," he said. "If you can't, at least keep it honest." He left me with the check and a story I had not been expecting. A rival who chose civility over war. A husband who had decided that pain could be organized if you placed it on a tray and named it. I paid and walked out into a night that smelled like wet concrete and change. Iris was waiting on my stoop. Her eyes were swollen from the kind of crying that isn't dramatic, just thorough. She held the key necklace in her palm like a coin she couldn't bear to spend. "It's over," she said. "We ended cleanly, which is to say, we broke something we both will miss and agreed not to pretend we didn't." "Do you need to be alone?" I asked. "I need to be with someone who knew me before I chose this version of myself," she said. "But no one knew me before, so I need to be with someone who sees me now and won't look away." "Okay," I said, "come upstairs." In the quiet of my room, she set the necklace on my dresser. We undressed without ceremony, without performative hesitation, our bodies already fluent. The intimacy was measured and kind, the kind that leaves space for grief and still insists on pleasure. When we moved together, it felt like crossing a threshold we had been circling for months. When we rested, she wept a little onto my shoulder, and I let the salt of it anchor me. She stayed. Morning brought pale light and the sound of the city waking. She made coffee as if she'd always known where I kept the filters. I watched her move around my kitchen and thought, not forever, not yet, but true. Weeks gathered like small boats on a quiet harbor. We built a routine that didn't pretend to be a future. It was a present that fed itself. We were careful with public places. We were careless with each other in the best way. Sometimes we spoke about the husband as if he were a country we had visited and left. Sometimes we didn't speak at all and let the silence be proof of trust. One evening, after a day heavy with contracts and other people's stories, I found Iris on my balcony barefoot, the city throwing silver at her skin. She had the necklace in her hand. "I keep thinking about the safes," she said. "About which one holds us." "Maybe we're the door," I said, "and the key is us deciding to keep it open." She smiled, then stepped in close, pressing the charm into my palm. "Hold this for me," she said. "It's heavy. If it's too heavy, put it down later, but for now, hold it." I closed my hand around the small metal shape and felt the weight of what it meant. Inside, the apartment smelled like coffee and rain. Behind us, the city told its millions of contradictory stories. Ours was just one, messy, honest, edged with betrayal and built with care. We went to bed early. We did not rush. We took time because time was the only luxury that didn't lie. Months from now, we might fail. We might decide the door should close, or we might build a new room with windows that open easily and a lock we both know how to change. For now, we breathe the same air. We choose the same bed. We keep two safes and teach them how to speak to each other. At 2:17 a.m., the world is quiet but not empty. I listen to a song to the end. Her hand moves on my chest, slow and certain. The key is warm in the drawer by my pillow, waiting for whatever comes next.